today I'm going to be doing the eyeshadow wardrobe tag. I did see It's Just Steph post this not too long ago. I know she didn't create it. I will link the creators down below. I think it's Morgan Turner and Charlotte. I do have their channels linked below, and I thought this was a lot of fun. I like a tag, okay? I like a tag. It's an eyeshadow tag. I've just done my makeup. I'm like, why am I gonna waste my makeup? Let's do another video. Let's see if you guys want to hear what I have to say. There's a lot of prompts, and it's all about which eyeshadow palette you would use for a different occasion. And obviously, you know, it's kind of more towards like, what would you wear for these? But with a twist, because we're looking at the eyeshadow palettes that we would use. And I have a few palettes in my collection where I'm always thinking this would be perfect for this occasion. And then some of these, I found it really difficult. So this is my version of it. But if you ask me again in 6 months' time, my answers would probably be completely different. But this is what I came up with right now. All right, so the first one is either wedding or a wedding guest or a guest somewhere. I'm assuming it's all to do with weddings. And okay, so I have always said or always felt like this palette would be the perfect wedding palette. I don't know what it is about it. It's so classic and it's called Vintage Glam, and it just makes me feel like I want to go to a wedding or I want to get married. I mean, I do, but whatever. It is the Vintage Glam from Gloss Gods, and it is on the more pink purpley side, so not everyone's going to want to wear that for their wedding. I'm looking at this as it's my wedding, but I think it is so romantic and a little bit special. You'd have to use some really good eyeshadow primer for these shadows to sort of stay and last all day, because I think the lasting power of Gloss Gods isn't the best and they do tend to crease a little bit, but I do have oily lids and I never use eyeshadow primers. So if you do wear eyeshadow primers, I'm sure this would be fine for a wedding, or like if you're a wedding guest or whatever. I just think these shimmers are really, really beautiful. And I've always found this palette to be very romantic. I just think it's such a sweet, cute palette. Unfortunately, they don't have it anymore, so you can't buy it, which is super sad. But you know, it does lean more in the mauvey side, but you could do like a light blush of pink. And as long as you're comfortable with that, I actually think this would be a really lovely wedding palette. So I've always felt that, and I wanted to be a little bit different. Didn't want to do just a normal nude palette because some of these prompts are gonna have that, trust me. So anyway, this is what I've always felt with this one. So I felt like I had to pick it. This one is Date Night, and I actually have used this palette several times for date night, and it is the Norvina from ABH. I think this is a favorite among many of us, and every time I use this palette, I very much enjoy it. I have quite a lot of use on it as well. And so, you know, every time I use it, I just get a little bit like those fuzzy feelings. Oh, I'm using it. I'm using one of my favorite palettes, and it makes me feel good. I don't know what it is. I mean, is that just a weird thing that I have, or do you also feel that? That might be a weird thing that I have. I think this also could be a beautiful wedding one. Honestly, it's not too different from Vintage Glam because it does lean more pink purple. But with this one, I don't know, I just feel like it's so romantic, and it's never gone wrong for me. I always feel like it looks beautiful when I go on a date night, which hasn't been a thing in a long time. I'm waiting to be able to go on a date night again, trust me. You know, when you have children, I only have the one, but like, honestly, date nights are just few and far in between. However said that, I did use this quite a bit, and yeah, it's a beautiful palette for date nights. If you have it in your collection, you've never used it for a date, like why not? And also, I feel like these last a long time, so they always look nice at the end of the day as well. Okay, next up is Girls' Night, and I honestly feel like you can wear anything on Girls' Night. And also, it depends what you're gonna do. Are you having a wild night out? Are you going out? Or are you just having cocktails? Are you just getting something to eat? Are you having brunch? I mean, what is going on? So this to me really depends on what's actually happening on a girls' night. But I feel like I went with a palette that has a little bit of fun to it. It's beautiful, and you know, there's like some sparkles and shimmers that I love. So I'm actually gonna pick this one from Glam Shop. I'm not going to pronounce this because I do pronounce it incorrectly. One of you lovely people said that I pronounced it incorrectly, and I don't want to keep doing that, so I don't really know how to say this. But this is a beautiful palette. This came out, I want to say a couple years ago now. It's part of their like 70s collection. I don't think they have this either, so I think it was limited edition, unfortunately. And again, I feel like this could be really for anything. I feel like eyeshadow could be for anything to an extent. I mean, I wouldn't wear this to work unless my work couldn't care less. I mean, I don't think I would wear this to work anyway, just because I wouldn't want to look like this when I'm trying to be a little bit somewhat professional. Having said that, if you do want to wear makeup like this, who cares? Because we all love makeup at the end of the day. But I just feel like this would be fun for girls' night, because obviously I don't want to have like a deep dark eyes for girls' night. I think you want to be light and flirty and fun and carefree. You're out with your girls, you're having fun, you're drinking or maybe you're not drinking, but you're eating good food and you're in good company. So I don't know, I just feel like these are lighter mattes and then some lighter tone shimmers, and it could be just like 2 shades and you're done. Just nice, simple and easy. And also, like, if you are working during the week and you have a girls' night, more than likely during the week you're wearing your neutrals, you're wearing your boring tones. So this would be the opposite of that, because you're out having fun and you want to wear something you don't wear all the time. Okay, next one is vacation. So honestly, aside from my bigger palettes, I would consider taking a lot of my palettes on vacation. I would want to make sure that the packaging is sturdy, but I thought about it, you know, most of the time I do like to pick smaller palettes, and I would tend to pick more than one if I'm going on an actual vacation. If I'm just going on a trip to visit my family, for instance, like if I just pop over to the UK, I probably would just bring one. But if I'm going on vacation to like a beachfront vacation or a travel where I'm going to be, you know, in different places or one city and we're exploring, then I probably would want some kind of variety, right? So I went with this one. I think this is a good palette to take. For one thing, it is small. And also the packaging is really, really good. I feel like you could knock this about and not damage the shades too much. Obviously, you should still pack your eyeshadow properly if you do go traveling. But anyway, this is from What's Up Beauty and it's the Geodes palette. I would say it's not my like favorite out of the 3 that I have. I have the Dragon's Eye, the Geodes, and the Desert Monsoon. I think the Dragon's Eye is my favorite. This is my second favorite, and then Monsoon would be third. But I don't mind the Monsoon, it's just not my favorite. Now, I think this would be fun on vacation as opposed to the Dragon's Eye, because like girls' night, I think I would want to keep it light, fun, fresh. And Dragon's Eye is just a little bit deeper than these shades. I find them very similar, but this one's just a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter. And I think when I'm on vacation, I wouldn't quite know, you know, what I would want to look like. And so I think I would want to keep it quite light and somewhat safe. But then also you have your neutrals over here. You have a green, you have a yellow, you have your orange here. You have this special shade, which I don't even know what color that is. And then you could also go into your purples as well, and your pinks or more neutrals. So there's a lot of variety. So it's not like you're going to be bored. Obviously, you could take more than one palette, but if you're just stuck with one palette, I think this would actually be a really good vacation palette. Okay, next up is graduation. My graduation was quite some time ago now, so I don't even remember. I feel like I wore a white skirt and a white top. I was in all white, and we had the blue, because I did have an actual US graduation, and we had the blue cap and a blue sort of the robe, right? I don't know what I was wearing. I did wear makeup back then, obviously. I've been wearing makeup since I was probably 13, 14, like not heavy makeup, but just some sort of makeup. And then obviously it builds up as you get older. But I could not tell you what I put on my eyes. Usually just a little pop in like the inner corner, mascara. And that's usually what I would do. I wouldn't really do anything else. So now if I were to go to a graduation or graduate from somewhere, you still want to keep it neutral. So I have kept a neutral palette, but I also think this is such a special, momentous occasion because you're basically no longer, you know, studying in school. I mean, yes, you might go to university, college, whatnot, but you are graduating. You are there. You are becoming an adult. I don't think you become an adult till you're dead, really, because I don't think anyone really becomes an adult until like they're forced into it. But Anyway, regardless of that, I picked this one. I didn't want to pick all of my Gloss Gods, but you know, we're picking stuff. So this is from Gloss Gods, and it is the New Neutrals Remastered. I do think they actually have this on the website. I do think they still sell it. I think this is really, really good. And so good so that my mom took my first one and I bought this again because I didn't want to be without it. And so the reason I'm picking this, because it is a neutral palette, but you can see, I don't know if you've already noticed, but this is a shifty little shade. Shifts green and orange. You have this one that's a lot of fun too, super like chunky. This one's really beautiful too. So it is neutral with a twist. And I feel like you're gonna graduate, why not add a little twist to that? Who's gonna tell you off? It's graduation, you are done, you passed, you have your diploma. No one's gonna tell you off. So just like, yeah, maybe be bolder than this. Maybe I'm being a little too conservative, but I still feel like this is respectful, this is lovely. You can still do beautiful photos with your friends and your family and whoever else. But yeah, I think it's a nice palette. So I would pick that for graduation. Okay, so I read this initially as Christmas Party, but then I reread it and it's Christmas Day. So generally on Christmas Day, I don't wear any makeup for like half the day, and then maybe for dinner I'll pop on some makeup, or I don't wear makeup at all. But sometimes if I want to be fun or bougie or whatnot, I mean, usually back when I was drinking quite a lot, which is not the case anymore, I would definitely put more effort into it. But I feel like Christmas Day now has become really tiring, and it's just a moment of rest and peace and just to get through the day, right? I feel like, you know, that's kind of what you feel as a mother these days. Anyway, regardless of that, I think I've picked a palette that is very Christmassy. It's a palette I've always said that I love the formula, but I don't quite get the color story. And it is the Feral from Menagerie Cosmetics. Now, I just feel like if these two shades weren't in there, I would probably not pick this palette. But you have this red and you have this green. How could this not be a Christmas palette? I could see myself quite easily going into those shades and doing a Christmas look. I mean, maybe I'll do it this year. If you guys want me to do that, let me know in the comments and I'll try to do it. Maybe I'll take a photo of it. Maybe I'll forget about it. Who knows? But I always look at this palette and I always feel like that section of the palette looks very, very Christmassy to me. And obviously Christmas does not need to be red and green, but in my mind it is. You know, a lot of people don't use reds and greens for their Christmas decorations, which is absolutely fine. But I do. My tree is a tacky mess. And that is what it is. So if I wanted to match my tree, I would definitely go into this palette. I have some other palettes where I have red and green as well. But I don't know. I mean, I was thinking this one as well, I think would be a really beautiful Christmas palette, the Gallant Jupiter from Gloss Gods. I just didn't want to keep picking stuff from Gloss Gods, but this doesn't have the green. It has the red, so if you really want to go like full on red. But this also could be like Valentine's Day, like, you know, which is not a prompt in this tag, which I think could be, but also that could be date night. But anyway, yeah, I would pick this one. I just think you have the red, you have the green. Why not? Okay, next one is Birthday Party. So I don't know if this is my party, someone else's party. I'm assuming this is my birthday party. And for my birthday party, I would want to wear a palette that I really love and that I know how the shades work for me. They would make me pretty because, you know, your birthday, you're getting older, and the older I get, the more bitter I am about my birthday. And my birthday is coming up. I don't know when I'm going to be posting this video, but my birthday is in September, and boy, am I not happy about this birthday coming up. So I think I would likely probably wear this palette, but again, it's dependent on the mood and what the situation, what's going on. But I have picked the Mercury Retrograde from Huda Beauty because I think this is a beautiful palette. It's one of my favorite palettes. I just adore this palette. I'm trying to get more use out of it this year, and I think I'm doing a decent job. I go into it whenever I can manage to remember that it's around. And I just think you have these beautiful blush tones. You have some really good neutral tones. It's a lighter palette too. And I think I would want to, I just feel like when I have lighter eyeshadow on, for the most part, I feel more confident. So yeah, having said that, I have quite dark eyeshadow on right now. You know what I mean? Like when this palette always makes me feel beautiful when I use it. So I think I would want to use something like this for my birthday. So I think this is the best one to use for a birthday party for my case. Moving on is office. So I decided to be really boring with this. I do not go to the office. I work from home. So I can generally get away with makeup like this and go on Zoom calls and no one's going to say anything. But do I do that generally? No, not really. So I think if I were still going to the office and I'm going somewhere every single day, I would want to keep it pretty neutral. And so I have picked the Shadow Kiss from Alter Ego. This is my favorite Alter Ego palette. I absolutely adore this palette. It's definitely one of my favorites in my whole collection. Considering how boring it looks, yeah, surprise. But I don't think there is a bad shade in this palette. I love every single shade, even these weird, boring mattes. I love them so much. The shimmers are stunning. And I don't think I would get bored of using this every day if I went into the office and had to do like a neutral look. I just think this quality is so amazing. It is a dupe for the Tasha Denona Glam palette, I believe, which I don't think you can still get anyway. But if you can, this one is just far cheaper. I think they still sell this one, although I haven't gotten Alter Ego in a long time, so I don't really know. But if they do, I would highly recommend this palette. I just think it's stunning if you like cool tone neutrals. All right, next one is a palette that I have been using a lot this year. And if you are familiar of my channel, then this won't be a palette that, you know, you're not familiar with. It's my palette for the year. And the prompt is Errands Everyday Go-To. So because I'm using this palette a lot this year, for me, it's become an everyday palette. I think initially when it obviously first came out, it was not an everyday palette, but it has become one for me. And I don't find it like special anymore, even though I still love it, because I feel like I could wear this every single day. I'm not, because I'm using other eyeshadow at the same time, but I think I could, and I'm quite happy to just pop this on my lids and run out the door. It is the Urban Decay Stoned Vibes. And yeah, boy, I mean, when this was launched, it was like really special for Urban Decay. I feel like at the time, it was obviously a limited edition. And I'm so glad that I have it, because it's been such a joy to use. And obviously you can see I've been working on it all year long, and I have all these lovely juicy pans in here. And it's like an everyday. I feel like by the end of the day, my eyeshadow also looks decent. And I don't use eye base all that much, like eye primers. I really don't use them that much, especially with this palette. I don't think I do. I feel like these shimmers last pretty much all day. They still stay beautiful, and maybe they'll crease and I'll just rub a little bit and then they look like all refreshed. So they definitely don't like disappear to anything. And the mattes are fine too. The mattes still work perfectly. They don't disappear and blend into nothing. So it's kind of like an amazing palette to me, because it isn't every day. I can use it every day. I do use it every day. Practically, that's how I'm feeling. So this is the one that I'm going to pick for this prompt. Okay, next one I think is a really fun palette. Now I was going to pick something else, but then I remembered I have this one in my collection. I think this is the best palette for this prompt. So the prompt is New Year's. Now, if I were to go to a New Year's party, which it has been a while, it has been a long time. A, I don't really have any friends anymore. And B, who has time for that? Like who does those, like, no. New Year's, you just want to cuddle up. You know, we barely stay up till midnight. I'm in my bed and like whatever. But if I were to go to a party and have like a really fun end of year bash, I would definitely go into my Gal on Jupiter from Gloss Gods. I know, it's another Gloss Gods. I'm so sorry. But how can you not? How can you not with this palette? You have this amazing, I'm going to swatch. I wasn't going to swatch anything. How can you not wear that for New Year's? New Year's to me is cool tones. It is silver. It is like, just like, it's this. This is New Year's to me. They should have called this a New Year's palette, because it is absolutely stunning. You have this like really cool gunmetal shade too, so you can go like really deep. There's also this one, which is another kind of silver. You have like all shades of silver in this palette. And then also you can do neutrals as well if you don't want to do silver. But why would you not do silver with this palette if you're going to New Year's? I think this is the perfect palette for New Year's. Now I have these on my, let me just do this. I'm sorry. That first one, it's crazy. I did do like a 3 looks 1 palette with this a while back, and on the eyes, it was very like in your face. And I think for New Year's, I would want that. I don't know. I would want to be fun. I'd have my silver shoes on or whatever. I don't know what I would wear. Maybe we should do like, what would you wear for all of these? Like the actual proper like wardrobe tag. Because, and then we could struggle to see if we even have clothes for these occasions. Because I tell you what, I probably don't have any clothes for most of these occasions. All right, next up is concerts. I feel like with concert, I could use any of my palettes. I mean, for me, a concert, you're sweaty by the end of the night. No one's looking at you. You're like in the dark most of the time because the stage is all lit up, like at least the concert that I go to. If this had been like a festival, I think it maybe would have been a little bit easier to find a palette for, but because this is literally concert, I don't think makeup matters for a concert. So having said that, I did pick this one, the Look for Rainbows from Gloss Gods. I'm sorry, I should just like do a video of just all of these instead. I'm picking this because you can't really go wrong unless you want to go black, and then you can't pick this one. Like if you want to go like dark and whatnot. But I feel like regardless of what you want to do at a concert, this could work because you got these 2 deeper shades. So they could be like your, like the first layer. And then depending on what you want to layer on top of them, I don't know. Or you could do the pink, like all these 4 could like be the top one. And then you could just have fun with it. I don't know. I just feel like this one was hard for me because A, I don't go to concerts anymore, and B, like no one cares about your makeup at concerts. So, you know, I feel like that one, if you want to be bright and colorful, wear that. Or you can wear neutrals and be boring, but I feel like if you are going to go out, why not just have some fun with it? And that's a beautiful palette. It's a very fun palette, has a lot of colors. So, all right, now we get into the seasons. So this one is hard because I could have a multitude of palettes for each of the seasons. The first season is going to be spring activities. Now this is a new palette of mine. I actually am wearing it today. I don't know if this video will be up before the video I have of this palette. It's the first look that I've done with it, and I'm planning to do 3 looks 1 palette. So you might know what I'm talking about, but you might not. Anyway, I have picked this one for spring. This is from Ensley Rain. It's the Flower Moon palette. It is quite big, so I can't really get it on screen. And I find this just perfect for spring. I think spring is about the grass coming back, the flowers blooming. You know, you kind of have everything, and also spring can be cold. So you can still do some like colder wintry looks as you progress into the spring months. So I don't know. I think it's because I just went into this today that it's on my radar. I have so many other palettes in my collection that could be spring activity palettes, but I just think, you know, I've just played with this. It's so much fun. I loved this look that I created so far with it, and I'm going to do 2 more looks, so I'm excited to see what those are going to be like. And yeah, I think this is a beautiful spring palette so far, but we will see. Okay, next up is a summer activities palette. I actually use this palette quite a lot in the summer, like the early summer stages, so I just thought that I would pick it. I also think it also is an amazing spring palette as well. So it could go both ways, but I'm going to pick my Cosmic Brushes Delicious Delights palette. And yeah, it is not a Gloss Gods. It's not Gloss Gods. So here we go. This is what it looks like. As you can see, I just think this definitely could be spring, but also I find these colors very vibrant and fun, and I think they scream to me summer as well. So because I did use this a lot in the summer, I'm picking it for summer activities palette. I just think it's a lot of fun. There's so much variety in this palette. It definitely is, I think, my favorite cosmic brushes that I have. I currently have 3 of them at the moment, and I think this is my favorite, and it's not the one that I was pining after that I thought would be my favorite, but I don't know, there's something about it. It's a lot of fun. I just love the variety. I think the variety works, and I think you can play with all the different shades. They all work together. The tones work together. It's just very beautiful and a lot of fun for summer. So this is my summer palette. Next up is winter activities. I don't know why, for some reason, the prompts for this, or at least the way that I saw it, they were in order of the actual seasons. So this might be the last prompt, but the way that I saw it in the list, this wasn't the last prompt. Fall is the last prompt, which is surprising to me. Anyway, the next one, I actually have picked another cosmic brushes, and I'm gonna pick the Serenity. I almost picked one of my ColourPop palettes, the Aurora Struck, but I generally don't like the tones in that palette. I don't like the quality of it. I think there's only a few shades that I actually like. And so I can't speak to it in the same vein as I can speak to the Serenity, because I actually really enjoy this palette. I don't know, this is another one where I didn't think that this would be a palette that I would really like, because there are some really deep, dark tones in here. But I think because it's contrasted with the lighter tones, it just works for me. And no, this is not like a true winter palette. I mean, they've come out with the Coultros, right? And I think that's more of a wintry palette, but I don't own that one and I don't need it. I think this is very wintry. I think these shades are super dark, and I think you can still incorporate a lot of the greens in there if you want to. There's this gorgeous gold shade, like a champagne shade. There's the purples, and it seems to be more wintry. And I didn't want to pick a monochromatic palette. Like, I could have picked the Midnight palette from Beauty Bay, like the big 42-pound palette, which is basically just purples and blues. I don't want to pick a monochromatic palette for these spring, what is this, winter activities, because I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the winter. I think this is very wintry. It doesn't have the red and the green from the Feral. I'll give it that though. Okay, lastly, if you saw over here, you probably saw what it was, but this is the fall activity. So if you are in Europe or UK, it's more autumn, but I say fall because a lot of the people who watch me are in the US. So fall activities, it's gonna be, September, October, November vibes. It's gonna be, getting colder, the leaves are falling. It seems to be everyone's favorite season. I don't know if it's my favorite season. I don't mind it, but it definitely seems to be a season that everybody loves. So I wanted to pick this one, which I think is a very obvious choice. But you know what? I can't be unique all the time. So anyway, this is the one that I'm picking from Lunar Beauty. This is the Moon Shroom that came out this year. And I think this screams fall to me, like screams. Like, you have these earthy greens, earthy browns, kind of yucky colors. And I think that's definitely what September, October looks like. You can still be a little fun with some purples and whatnot. But yeah, this screams fall to me. And I think also it could be spring. It could be because, again, the grass comes back, these earthy tones come back, and then these could be like your flowers blooming in spring. So it did actually launch in spring. So now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, did I make a mistake? But I'm keeping it here. I think it's a very full-ish palette. I could have picked the Muse palette from Cosmic Brushes, but I don't feel like I love that palette yet, and I need to play around with it a little bit more before I can speak to it and what I would use it for. But I think generally I am really waiting to go into this for the fall season. I think this is something I'm kind of waiting. I just think these also up here are just perfect for October time. I don't know, like, I don't go pumpkin picking, but I could just see myself wearing all of these tones and go pumpkin picking and be done with it. I would be very, very happy. So yeah, that is what I would pick for the fall activities prompt. So that is my video for the eyeshadow wardrobe tag. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my sort of, choices. This was a lot of fun to do. It kind of made me have to think about, what palettes I have and what would I really use on some of these days or activities. And like I said at the beginning of the video, my answers are probably going to be different in just a month or a week or tomorrow, who knows? But this is what I'm picking today based on like what I feel about these palettes right now. So anyway, if you have done this video recently, I would love to see yours and all of your choices. But otherwise, like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.